You're listening to the Full Court Press with your host, Drew Duncan. Don't you dare touch that dial. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press. I'm your host, Drew Duncan. We're live from the K-Sun Studios in Wichita, Kansas. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can listen live at ksunradio.org, ksunradio.org. And now, I am on Alexis. All you got to do is say Drew Duncan, the Full Court Press on Spreaker, and Alexis will play me. Episodes. Almost 100 of them right now on Spreaker. Just say, Alexis, how you doing? Alexis will be like, hey, I'm doing good. And all you got to say is, you play Drew Duncan, the Full Court Press on Spreaker. Alexis will be like, Drew Duncan, Full Court Press on Spreaker coming up, or whatever Alexis says. I got Google Home, so I don't know. Like, whatever it is you do, go ahead and do it. Whatever your source is, go ahead and do it. And the Denver Broncos may be changing sources ASAP. Because they got a 7-1 Philadelphia Eagles team coming up this Sunday. It's not looking any better for this football team, and Trevor Siemian turned the football over 3 times yesterday. Charles on a fumble, they had a fumble on a punt return. Denver looked horrendous. They had drops in the end zone. Just a bad football team on offense right now. A very bad offense on. And look, Vance Joseph said it. Their defense played winning football. Forced a lot of 3-and-outs. Held Kansas City in a lot of crucial situations to field goals. The Denver Broncos offensively could not get it going. They were typical Denver offense. It's everything that I've been saying about this football team. They struggled in the red zone. And, you know, there were a lot of safe plays. You know, Denver was down 14-0. They create a turnover. They have a very nice drive. They get inside the red zone. It's third down. What do? They call a safe play. I think if you have a quarterback that you can trust, you shoot for the end zone in that moment. But Siemian absolutely has zero confidence. His time is done. It's over with. The Siemian experiment is over. It's been an ugly nightmare from the beginning, and Denver needs to make a change. But I will say this. It was kind of a team effort offensively, and Vance Joseph at the end of the day is right. You don't make 5 turnovers and expect to win any football game. This is the NFL. The only time that I can really allude to where that happened that I can remember was the Seattle Seahawks figuring out a way to stop Green Bay defensively when they turned the ball over, I think it was 5 times, in the NFC Championship game a few years ago. That's the only time I can think to myself, you turn the football over that much and you actually won the game. And my theory was then, if you turn the ball over 5 times, you don't deserve to win. But if you get 5 turnovers and all you come up with is 19 points and you allow the other team to hang around, you may not deserve the W either. And I got to tell you, Kansas City had 101 opportunities to put Denver away, and they couldn't do it. And this alludes to me, the continuous weakness that is in the Kansas City Chiefs, the inability to play a full 4 quarters of football. Denver was a very desperate football team coming into this game. I get that, but Kansas City didn't impress me just as much as Denver didn't impress me. Kansas City's now 1-2 in their last 3 games after a 5-0 start. Though they lead the division right now, and obviously, like I've said before, I still believe that it's theirs to lose. How well would they be able to do going into the playoffs? You've beaten Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. You're the only team that can say you beat the Philadelphia Eagles, but you had a bad loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You couldn't ward off the Oakland Raiders in their passing game with Derek Carr. And you really should have beat Denver probably 40 to damn near nothing. Keeping it real. So at the end of the day, did either team, if you watched that game last night, you walk away and went, well, we knew Denver was bad. Some of you didn't know it was this bad. But did you go, Kansas City, they're the championship caliber team that we all believed that they were? Now, the NFL over the last couple of years has been a fickle mistress because you've had this kind of row and streak with a lot of teams where they'll start out 1-4, and then they'll go to 5-4. Next thing you know, they're 5-7. Next thing you know, they're finishing in the season 9-7. Is Kansas City kind of that football team right now? 5-0, lose 2 in a row. Now they've won 1 going forward. How do they do? I can't give Kansas City's defense credit last night. I know that much. I would love to. I've been high on that defense, even though statistically they're not where I say that they are. If you look at box scores and stats, the Denver Broncos beat themselves last night, clearly. I've seen that 3 times this weekend, and that bell rings truer and truer with every game. I think Oakland beat themselves against Buffalo. I think Washington beat themselves against Dallas. And Denver beat themselves against Kansas City. Also a common denominator, on the road. Oakland was on the road. Denver was on the road. And if I'm not mistaken, Washington was on the road. You turn the ball over that much, you can't expect to win games, especially on the road. Remember, Washington and Dallas is, if I remember correctly, but even then, it would be 2 out of 3 games that I know for certain where teams were on the road. And, you know, and Denver tried some things. They tried to go for it on 4th down, and they did a lot of the things that I said they needed to do in order to win that football game. The offensive line that everybody says is so bad, you don't run for 177 yards when your offensive line is terrible. Denver was picking up steam with the run game after that they forced a turnover when they were down 14-0. I mean, we're talking some straight-up old-school power I formations. But Simeon, again, missed some open receivers, and again, some guys had some drop passes. I know that Vance Joseph alludes to the fact that the quarterback isn't the problem, but when you're dropping passes like that, it tells me that the offense is not motivated by the guy they're looking back at in the huddle. They don't want to play for him. Anybody who thinks that's not a thing probably has never been in a locker room. I'm just going to throw that out there. You don't like your quarterback, you're not going to dive for passes. You don't like your quarterback, you're not going to take shots over the middle. You don't like your quarterback, you're not going to make catches in the end zone that are a little complicated to make. You don't like your quarterback, you're not going to make extra effort on the outside routes where you have to really tiptoe in order to stay in bounds. Those are things that happen when you just don't like your QB. Well, dude, he's not going to do anything anyways. Even if I catch this pass, what's he going to do after that? Throw another interception? Yeah, I'm not going to put myself out there, bro. I'm not going to injure myself. I'm not going to blow my ride. It's not going to happen, dude. Denver's in a very bad situation. You know, and I watched the post-press conference, and I saw a lot of the comments on Facebook. Look, I can understand your frustration with Coach Joseph, but how many times has it been said that Simeon is Elway's guy? The rumor is that Paxton Lynch will be starting this Sunday. Is there time enough for Denver to turn this thing around? Well, you're a 3-5 football team. You still have a couple of divisional wins over the Raiders and over the Chargers. You've got Kansas City one more time, and you've got Oakland one more time. So, yes, you can still turn it around, figure out a way to get back in there, and maybe if Lynch is able to go this Sunday and he's really healthy and things work out, well, now you're even with Kansas City because you've beat an outside team, and you're just going to have to figure out a way to get some other tiebreakers. The AFC is open enough, I believe, for Denver to be able to pull through and make the playoffs, even if Kansas City wins the division. Because at the end of the day, the wild card hunt, how many teams in the AFC are under 500 right now? Figuring out who's over 500 is a far easier scenario. You got the Bills, the Patriots. They're both in the NFC East. You got the Kansas City Chiefs sitting at 6-2. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who else is above 500? It's seriously, after that, it is a wild card race. As you know, divisional teams automatically get in. Maybe Houston. We can go ahead and rule out the Indianapolis Colts. They're not going to do anything. Jacksonville, maybe, maybe not. Denver would probably have to win 8 games in a row in order to be able to make the playoffs. That includes both divisional games and every other game thereafter. They're going to have to beat Philadelphia. Probably not going to happen because they've already had a similar quarterback at Tyrod Taylor, and they could not contain him. And I think we all know that Carson Wentz is better, though I've been a huge Tyrod Taylor fan for a long time. So I'm really tired of nobody likes Tyrod Taylor. Well, I do. So everybody can just stop that. This is bad for Denver. I think Denver has to win out. And given their schedule, the toughest in the NFL, as it's been reiterated time and time again, I don't think so. It just boiled down to simple execution last night. Denver could not do it. Siemian is uncomfortable. He looks scared in that pocket. I know a lot of people are talking about the right tackle, Watson, but just to pin it all off on one guy and say it's easier to get around him on pass plays, that's what play-action rollout plays are for. Kansas City's mix of play calling was everything that I believe Denver should be. Option plays. See that bubble screen that Kansas City ran where it looked like Alex Smith was running out on basically a QB keeper, maybe like an option play, and then he just threw it right over to Tyreek and he got yards out of it. Kansas City had a lot in that playbook. Bubble screen plays, drag routes. I mean, you saw everything. They just mixed up the play calling. There wasn't anything that was done that was overly complicated. A lot of collegiate style of plays, things that I've been telling people that should be in the Denver Broncos play calling, but they don't want to do it. I think it goes into more they just don't trust their quarterback. And I think that they were trying to mine their time until Chad Kelly was healthy. But that's just not an option anymore. And while I get your frustration, and it's easy to point a finger at Vance Joseph, and normally I would say it usually goes offensive coordinator, then head coach, then quarterback. In this case, I've been saying it for a while. Simeon's done at the end of this year. And really, Denver fans, it's all a moot point, whereas Simeon is concerned because, or Lynch or anybody, because once Chad Kelly comes up, boom, there you go. And you're going to have basically 2 or 3 quarterbacks at disposal. And right now, as we know, the Patriots are going to need a backup. So Denver has a lot of choices to make. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs are concerned, look, they're still a good football team. Denver's defense is the best in the NFL still. I don't care what anybody says. They showed it last night by holding the Chiefs to as many points as they did. Like I said, Kansas City could have easily scored over 40 with as many times as Denver turned the football over, the kind of situations they were in, et cetera, et cetera. Kansas City put together a very good play-calling game. I couldn't have been more impressed with what they were doing offensively. I mean, they were willing to just, whatever it took to win that game. And that's really, at the end of the day, how they beat Denver. Forcing turnovers that were really more just givens. I mean, Trevor Siemian, 2 passes right to cornerbacks and safeties. So I love Kansas City's play calling a lot. They are clearly, I think, the team in the AFC West. Everybody else is just kind of there right now, and it's their division to lose. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Going forward in the playoffs, how do they look? Well, they've got a win over New England, but they've got a loss to Pittsburgh. So they're going to have to figure out zone coverages. But they did a lot of that with some of those collegiate style of plays last night. And Andy Reid is just a flat-out genius. I can't give that man enough respect. As a Denver fan, when I knew that he was coming to the AFC West, I knew that the Broncos were in trouble because he was going to turn around that Kansas City team. If I remember correctly, every year but one that he's been there, they've made the playoffs. He's a damn good football coach. Is this the year, though, he can get him over the hump and get him deep into the playoffs? Because right now, they're still fighting for a wild card spot. But if a few things happen, go their way, they continue to win football games, they could very easily end up with a bye week. This is the Full Court Press. I'm your host, Drew Duncan. We're live from the K-Sun Studios, Wichita, Kansas. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all at Drew Duncan 83. I'm live on KSunRadio.org Monday through Friday from 8 to 10. And you could just say, hey, Alexa, play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan on Spreaker, and my podcast will pop right up. We're going to take a quick sponsor break. When we come back, there's a lot more to get to. The Garoppolo trade, we're going to be discussing that. Additionally, we're going to be talking about comments from Draymond Green. There's a lot more football and basketball to get to. We'll be back right after this. Don't you dare touch that dial.